Okay. Oh, you know we've got it. And you know this is Inane Blather. And I'm not gonna... Yeah. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna introduce everything from here on out. And, well, my soundboard isn't set up how I thought it was, so never mind. I was just going to do the loud booing sound, but I can't see it right now. So anyway,
great introduction.
Yeah, it's another spotless 10 out of 10 introduction from Inane Blather, hosted by two inane people that are often considered to be
headstrong, stubborn, quibbling, self-centered, vindictive, obnoxious, hormonal, sexually preoccupied, evil, thieving, cross-dressing jerks.
Amen.
And we all know that is
not good.
So I could have at least at the beginning there been like
this is absolutely lit. This is lit.
I just
I
just want everyone to be aware that's Alex Jones when Kanye is on his show. So it's so cringely racist. I mean, just like he would never ever use that word, lit.
Although I don't know. I definitely haven't seen his show outside of the Kanye appearance.
I've definitely
like
seen enough clips to know that he's not saying that when he's excited. It's just really interesting, the choice. And, I mean, probably nervous having a Nazi so close, but, he was excited.
I don't know. I saw Kanye on Alex Jones, and I was just like,
what is this? Just a couple guys having a conversation? Who the hell wants to listen to that?
No. Like, boring.
What's even controversial about this?
It's just a couple of guys having a conversation. Just a couple of blokes. But, no, anyway, we're way behind. We never tackled the Kanye stuff. We only talked about it off of the pod. And I don't even really want to get into it.
I think
everyone says enough about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Kanye
what else
is off the deep end. Nick Fuentes is a Nazi little bug that I want to squish with a boot. And that is it.
We hate all the Muslims.
No.
That too. We can't ever forget
and also
that.
Thank you, Bernie. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we can go right into how the weather is. How's it? It snowed at your place, right?
Yeah, we got a bunch of snow. Actually, the last couple of days, a bunch of. I don't know how many inches, but more than 2. I mean, it's
That's what she said.
Yeah, nice.
I don't know how many inches it was, but let me tell you this, ladies, it was more than 2.
Ooh, he's a keeper. No,
what a stud.
Yeah. A rock hard thumb. But anyways.
But yeah,
I
snow.
have a Subaru Forester, and so I just pretty much do whatever I want, whatever the weather, frankly. And it's a stick shift, so I'm like unaffected. I'm like, hurry it up, folks. But
no, that's really funny
really
coming from a Pacific Northwest feminist and a polycool. I have a Subaru Forester, so I pretty much do whatever I want.
Yeah, kind of.
Just out of context, just that. Yeah, I think I'm going to start cutting clips of you to put on the soundboard. It would be really fun.
But I'm like, who is that bitch? She sounds so condescending.
I hope you get ass cancer and die, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, but it's, well, I don't know if people know, but it's winter. It's winter outside, and it is
almost Christmas. Yeah.
Cold here. It's so goddamn cold. It's crazy. Like, I mean, it's 16 degrees right now. No, 15.
It's like 30 degrees here.
With the, according to Google, 15 degrees feels like 5. And I think tomorrow it's a high of 17 and a low of 0.
Ooh.
So 0 degrees Fahrenheit. That's the one time where it's like, oh no, Fahrenheit's the colder one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then it's funny just looking at the forecast when you can just tell from the temperature fluctuations kind of what type of cold day it's going to be. Like, oh yeah, Thursday, high of 8, low of 7.
But it's probably going to be sunny.
And then in a couple days, no, it's mostly cloudy. And then we're getting snow with brief sleet, followed by freezing rain for 2 days, and then showers. So at least it's going to warm up.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lovely time driving for the holidays
This weekend,
on one of the most dangerous highways in Washington.
Christmas Day here is supposed to be like 53 degrees or something. It's
Dang,
like,
yeah. That's why it's getting into the
and
40s
then raining,
once it gets
it's gonna
over
be
here.
Flooding here. It's
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Wow. But still, it's funny when I look at it, it's like the type of day, because, yeah, even on that snowy day, it's a high of 22 and a low of 22. I was like, wow, that's weird. That's
That is
cool,
weird.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just like that all day through the night. I mean, there's nothing to make it warm up or cool down. You know, you get this cloud cover and stuff. Yeah. Anyway, and... And once again, where's that global warming when you need it?
That never gets old.
Yeah. But, God dang it. You know what happened? So before the show, just so everyone knows, we had an hour-long podcast-level conversation where I was berating Natalie, just unendingly.
He was berating me about berating boomers. He's like, you just can't talk to people like that, Natalie.
And then also when we're finally like, oh, we got to get the podcast started, I had to redo my soundboard, and I just realized when I accidentally clicked back while it was still loading to the soundboard, so I only got half of the sounds on here.
Love that for you.
So if we just stop here. I mean, I'm just gonna cut this part out. No, but what do you? Since I'm not gonna listen to you anyway, you know,
I was gonna say,
what's on your mind?
You know what? The part of that conversation we were having earlier, when it was kind of funny, you were saying like how much work it is to learn, and I totally know what you mean. Like sometimes it can get me. I don't think I'm like depressed. I'm not depressed like I used to be for sure, but there are moments, you know, just
with
whatever
tears in
sort
your
of
eyes.
mental health.
I am not depressed. I'm not.
No, where it's just overwhelming, really thinking about and like the level of passion that I have for my like beliefs about justice or blah 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 whatever. It seems like maintaining that for my whole life, it can be overwhelming, and I think that that's what you were talking about learning more. Like the more there is to learn, I mean, there's just so many things that could be better, and for people who are optimists or idealists or whatever, it's hard to be seeing so much of that, and I think that that's the case with the person we were talking about, actually, is very much an idealist. Very, very much so. She is like, and in that way, I mean, yeah, I admire her for so many things of that, too, like where she, and the problem is that it's like simplifying it too much, and instead of like what we're saying, what actually causes change is knowing more and growing and learning.
Yeah.
And you were saying that it's
I
work.
wish I could believe or understand that.
But,
and
yeah.
You were saying
Sorry, that was too perfect.
It's work to do that. Yeah, I know.
It is work. Learning is work.
And then I said,
it's like going to the gym.
said,
how you always talk about you're the only person who can do it. You are the only person that can
absolutely
have your mind learn. You're the only person that can condition their body. You're the only person who can condition their mind. But anyway,
it's the only thing you have control over yourself is, yeah, that is very true. And the problem is that nobody wants to work anymore. And that's why. But it is
blew out
sort
my
of,
microphone with that.
Yeah, it's interesting that generation in particular, we're talking boomers, like that attitude, no one wants to work anymore, because what are we working towards in that attitude because of capitalism and evolution and patriarchy and all these kinds of things, that their idea of working is like making money is like a lot simpler of a thing. Like the American dream is like home ownership and like home ownership and a house. No, like just sort of a basic with a good job and like being able to go on vacation. It's not like striving for more. It seems like it's like that, and like that comes down to conservatism and like this attitude of like how, like, why go farther? Like, this is good where it's at, which seems...
That's what entrenches the status quo.
Like, yeah, but it also seems like, isn't that what, like, Amish people do? Like, they were like, no, we're good here. It's like...
yeah,
like,
that's why they've got it all figured out.
Forward. Yeah, maybe there's... So that's kind of what I was getting to, is I'm going to move
that.
to
You ever
Massachusetts.
churned your own butter? Yeah, exactly. No, Pennsylvania.
Oh, I churn my own butter every day. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm churning butter and scratching the turntables.
I met an Amish person when I was in Kentucky. There was signs on the road for like the warning yellow signs, you know, with like a horse and buggy on it.
Yeah.
So because people
that's
were
cool.
around there being Amish. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And by cool, I mean that's fucking stupid. Who does that? No, I'm just kidding. Like,
yeah, goes to Kentucky.
Cars are passing you. Like, don't you see that you're on a horse and buggy? Have you ever, or I mean, recently this has come up a lot, at least for me, but I've seen it as a meme. This is a tangent, but because you made the joke about nobody wants...
Isn't this entire podcast a tangent?
Yeah, tangent, the podcast. But yeah, going down the rabbit holes to hell.
Everyone is stupid except me.
No, there's
that's what I tell Dad all the time.
Circulates a lot. Nobody wants to work anymore. And there's been this meme going around, of that sentiment being expressed throughout time, leading it like quotes in newspapers about how nobody wants to work anymore, going all the way back to 1894, at least in this meme. And it's like, why don't we learn? Like, is it because learning is work, like you were saying?
Yes,
But I don't know. I just thought of that with the nobody wants to work anymore. It's like, that's just an excuse made by capital owners. It's just the way that it goes. It's just it's like that's the true ongoing, real, long-standing culture war issue, because it's a class struggle issue. No, but just people just won't work. People are just lazy now. It's like, well, they fucking said that when people were walking 5 miles to go to the general store too, and getting credit from the company store to work for 5 cents a day. You know. Anyway,
and it's like nobody ever really wants to work. I mean, we want stuff to do, but we don't.
Nobody ever wanted to work.
Yeah, we don't want to be a slave.
Did we talk about that on the pod? Sorry to cut you off, but I remember that was like when we were talking about starting a podcast because of these conversations that we'd have, and that was a back and forth that we had over WhatsApp about like. There's kind of a paradox here between, you have to work for your life. Like, you have to put in the work. You have to, or pull yourself up by your bootstraps or whatever it is, or, people just don't want to work anymore. Mm-hmm. But it's like, people just don't want to work, right? And it's like, well, but also at the same time, like, the goal that everyone has in our capitalist society is, but when you like what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. It's like, and that's because why would people want to work? Like, unless it's something you like to do.
That's
like,
good.
It's like, people never want to work anymore. It's like, that's a lot coming from you, the person who made it their life's work and became a fucking billionaire doing what they loved or whatever it might be, It's like, yeah, of course. It's like, it won't feel like 80 hours a week when you're the one that did your small business that became a success because it's something that you love to do. It's like, it's just a paradox to me.
Or if you have a bunch of money, then it's like it doesn't matter what you do for a living because your actual life is really nice.
Like, but you're supposed to. You don't want to work because you're a human being.
But that saying, that phrase, like, you don't, like, if you love what you do, then you'll never work a day in your life. So you have to do you have to just make yourself love your job then? Like, it's like,
yeah, well, that's the dark undercurrent, the dark secret behind what capitalist propaganda truly is to make people in the working class accept, no, it's economic gaslighting.
Yeah.
No, this is what you wanted to do. Or you gaslight yourself into thinking that, so that you don't realize fully how much you're wasting your fucking life on this planet working as a wage slave.
But then, because the dream is to have a house and to have a nice car and to be able to go on vacation. So you like your job because of, right? But that, I think people just really don't want to put in the real work of dismantling all these systems and learning about it.
That's
because
work.
Once you know about
it, you think welding is work?
Because
try dismantling the capitalist superstructure. Okay.
Yeah.
No, anyway,
but really, because then once you know about it too, then it feels like you have to do something about it, and it's really. I'm thinking about what we talked about a couple pods ago, with that woman who went to college and then was like.
Have to unlearn things.
Because it's scary once you're stepping out. I think that goes along with white fragility and why it's hard for people, especially boomers or people. I mean, especially boomers.
And you know what? And it's only white fragility because of white privilege. It's really just power fragility. It's this oxymoron. Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah. Good.
And it feels, good job. I feel like, thank you. It's like, because your life is comfortable, it is uncomfortable to be uncomfortable. I mean,
okay,
so
Natalie.
Why wouldn't you choose the path, of like least resistance and like it really is nice to, because you only have so much time on this planet. Why would you spend it, like being upset about things? It's like, well, because other people don't have the choice, because that's their life, to be upset, black people, because their brother was murdered by the cops, like they live in that world.
You have to participate in the system, otherwise
I feel
your
like
life ends.
You should want to, is all that I feel like. You should want to participate because you have empathy and compassion. And when you extend beyond just your singular family unit, that's where you can really start making change. When you start thinking about other people besides just the people that are right around you. You think of everybody as your family, and you want what's best for them.
Oh, a community.
Again,
no,
that
community.
Sounds... Okay,
something
Carl.
like that.
Yeah.
But
that's what he would say if I was talking about communism.
Yeah, but you know what he says?
They're criminals and rapists.
Oh, anyway. But I have a few things, even though I haven't been posting a lot, but no, I've been on Twitter, but I've still been writing things down, okay? I'm not losing this note, this Google Keep note that I'm constantly adding to. I still have stuff that we didn't cover weeks ago.
Of Google Notes.
And instead of posting, I just went back to putting stupid shit in here along with other things. For some reason, I wrote Girth Brooks.
Nice.
And also Immaculate Dracula starring Scott Bakula. I don't think that'll go anywhere. But if
it's got legs.
If anyone's interested, getting the rights to that title. And let's see. Oh, here's one that's not just a sentence, but is a throwaway. Folks, holidays are coming up, all right? and doesn't Santa have, this is how I wrote it. Doesn't Santa have, a red nose and red face and a beard and pot belly and shit because he's an alcoholic fatso that spies on children and only works one fucking day a year?
Oh my god. Yes, he breaks into people's houses.
Yeah, sure, he leaves presents, but what's really going on here?
Yeah.
You know, you really think, like, who would be in their right mind to do that? Oh, I don't know. He looks like kind of a drunk, all right? And people, now, you know, the hipster millennial thing, well, you leave him out a shot of bourbon, too. Ugh, I got my fucking scotch that, because I'm so fucking cool. I mean, I was one of those people. You know, and it's like, I'm out for Santa because it's funny, and I put it on Instagram, and then I drink it after the kids go to bed. But and it's like, yeah, just leave the bottle. Ha ha ha. And then there's like the sitcom, oh, then the wife's mad at you for making that joke, but then you drink it because you're an alcoholic, and then your wife leaves you. And yeah. And then I'm like, well, you fucking buy the Santa presents, bitch. And then, you know, it's like, you need help. And anyway, that's where my mind was going with that.
I like it.
But yeah, I just like the phrase. I like this phrase that I wrote. No, I just like,
I do too.
He's an alcoholic fatso that spies on children and only works one fucking day per year.
Fatso is a good one.
Yeah,
Body
I think that's
shamer.
really what takes it. So, but
He just eats milk and cookies and enslaves a species.
oh yeah, I sent you that, right? Oh man, I think I thought I sent that. Let me look. I saw on this app that I started using. It's got this little like bird symbol. But
Is that 4chan?
Nope, I think yeah, it's like 8chan or something like that. Yeah, when you find out Santa funds his Christmas operations by drilling into the oil fields in the Arctic Ocean using slave elf labor and sells the oil to oppressive and violent regimes while mass buying fetal stem cells to live forever and avoiding criticism with the biggest PR front of all time.
Yeah.
I was like, that's like
Merry
Nike
Christmas.
with slave labor. It's like times 1,000, you know?
That I just learned that RuPaul is like an oil baron.
Yeah, I learned that today as well. What was that on?
Ethan.
Oh,
Ethan is online?
That's what it was. Ethan is online. Okay.
That just because he's gay or whatever, and
yeah,
or
I
does
thought
drag
he was
and
just
stuff,
like joking.
he's
He's like, no, he's like a rich fucking oil baroness.
Baron, right? I mean, it's
Baron,
a dude.
yeah, he's
but,
a guy.
Yeah,
he's a dude.
He's a bro. It's a real
Speaking
bro,
of,
that RuPaul.
I wrote Josie and the Pussycats. How about Joey and the Wiener Hounds?
Oh my god. I don't get it.
So, unless you have something to interject with, I wanted to bring this up. I don't know if you don't see advertisements. You only
really
see what you are fed by your family and friends.
I'm in a
like
bubble.
like the media pig that you are. We just feed you our slop.
Slop down.
And it's like you don't make your own decisions by being inundated with advertising like we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the conundrum in our commodified society, is that like, no, I am in charge of my own decisions because I see so many advertisements. What a weird thought. But anyway,
Yeah.
but I don't know if you've heard of I think
Bible?
it's out. Yeah. Have you heard the good word as our Lord and Savior R.M. Brown?
Yeah.
That's because you're an honorless, lying little turd. Not good.
Good.
But the HBO documentary about Nancy Pelosi and her time on January 6th, it's called Pelosi in the House.
No, it's not.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
I've seen this advertised. And what's funny, I remember, I think I brought it up on the pod too, but seeing, it must have been footage that ends up was for this documentary, or like they used that for the documentary. But there was, I was legitimately, I thought it was cool. Nancy Pelosi on January 6th, and just actually, what's funny is like, wow, like how stressful and how she was handling everything and making her calls and managing the ongoing crazy situation. I was like, wow, this is the first time ever I've seen. I was like, wow, Nancy Pelosi is being kind of badass. Like, in terms of, wow, I'm actually seeing someone like that do work, you know, just because it finally happens almost literally at the end of a gun barrel makes no difference to me, of course. But anyway, but any more than 6 minutes of interesting footage of Nancy Pelosi dealing with this stuff and seeing Chuck Schumer sit on his fucking stupid ass and balls doing nothing. God, that guy is fucking worthless, I swear. But anyway, so, but I didn't realize until reading the Jacobin article that, of course, this documentary was made by Nancy Pelosi's daughter. And so let's do a little bit of reading.
I want to say about Nancy Pelosi that what I find to be a real bummer about capitalism, and this is what we were talking about it earlier before the pod, is that I think people like Nancy Pelosi.
It's weird. We never talk about capitalism, but, you know, until the podcast starts rolling.
Yeah.
Doggy, what now?
That people like Nancy Pelosi or Hillary Clinton, they started out like people like me and you. Like, they were idealistic people who wanted to help people.
Cinema.
That's she can suck a dick and eat a pussy. Like, no, that's way too good for her. She can fuck right off. But that bisexual bitch, I hate. Shit. Oh man,
suck me from the back.
People shouldn't be treated like a monolith and all that, but I really hate that she's the representation that's given. I fucking
for
hate
bisexual.
Her. But anyways, yes. But
it's like, I don't care what people say. Her fashion sucks. No, but that's what is disappointing with Nancy Pelosi starting off as an ideal.
Yeah.
This is what capitalism
and Hillary Clinton
does.
And stuff, because that is like these women, like actually like the fact that she is such a powerful woman, Hillary Clinton. And blah, 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 because they're smart people who cared about, like, whether or not it's arrogance or whatever, they have a vision for the world. They have a passion for it, and then it gets corrupted by money and, like, the powers that be, and, like, just maintaining the status quo because you have to cut like, all these, like, you have to make so many compromises, and it's because of money. When it comes down to the root of it, that's what it's all about. You have to compromise on your values in capitalism. It comes secondary to profit. Like, that's just what happens, and that's just
values
fucking true
are
because
secondary
you can see
to
it.
value. Yeah. And that's the funny thing where it's like, you know, it comes down to it. If you're looking out, I mean, it's like, well, what's your problem with Nancy Pelosi as someone on the left? It's like, it all comes down to money. It's like, oh, my biggest problem is that she makes this money. Like, the whole stock trading stuff, it's insane. That's ridiculous. It's just it's just legalized corruption. They all do it, and Nancy Pelosi is one of the worst ones with it. And her fucking husband, like, it runs the Dow Jones or some insane shit like that. I don't even know what it is, but it's like they're fucking like 100 millionaires. But it's like everything that comes down to it, you could even say, man, if it wasn't for the money issues that make that upset, if it wasn't for the minuscues, they are not minutia, but they are minuscues. It's like, you know, it would just be, oh, my issues with her are that she's just further right than I am or something, and there are actual things, you know, that where you could be like, yeah, and that's just the way that it works, you know, people are fucking different, whatever. But then you just take that a step further and be like, well, wait, but she is further right because of the money issues. That's what makes her more centrist. That's what makes her further to the right than you do, is because of money. So it's all just money. It's like, if it wasn't for money issues, for financial issues, corruption, or economic structures and your disagreements with them, who is Nancy Pelosi? No one. Like, it's like, nobody. You know why she's so revered for her work in the Democratic Party? is because she raised a bunch of fucking money because she's really good at fundraising. There's something to be said for that, but it's like, well, if that wasn't even an issue, raising money for political gain for a party, then what's here? There's nothing here. Well, what is it?
But, exactly, though.
So,
because those people started out early on, like, I don't know so much about Nancy Pelosi, but I was a women and gender studies minor, so I saw a documentary with her in it, of course. And it was about women in Africa and just different, like, Hillary Clinton,
she's African. No.
Like, has traveled,
I saw her kneeling in that kente cloth.
Oh my fucking god. Yeah. Like, I'm just saying, like, Hillary Clinton was this person who, like, traveled around, like, trying to do good. Like, they, like, had the ideas, like, for women, like, lifting people out of poverty and having, like, being sort of, they're idealistic about, and why Nancy Pelosi, she's a good fundraiser, why she isn't with the Republican Party, because at some point she was, like, progressive, because she believed in some of these values more so than
San Francisco.
It's just really, I know, it's just really disappointing how much money clouds people's judgment on right and wrong. Like,
sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
If I just downplay every good point that you have with that,
sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
No, but yeah, and that is the
and that's why they say
the silver bullet for
money,
idealism is money. So that's
the love of money
best way
is
to
the
kill
root
an
of all
idealist.
evil. That saying is around. Like, it's not money. The saying is the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not the root of all evil. It's not anything. It doesn't even mean anything.
Yeah.
It's like a literal piece of paper that is completely meaningless in every way besides. Yeah, exactly. It's just abstract. Like, it's just a concept that we've all, like, agreed to sort of abide by the rules that we made up.
Yeah.
But the
just
love of money makes it so you don't care about good, like, right and wrong. Like, you don't care about people. You don't have any values. And that what you said, value and value, that is interesting to me, that we use the word value. Like, how much of our language is, like, about money or, like, capitalism, and how influenced by it has been. Like, there are different
I feel
sayings,
like it's
and just
probably
how
capitalism stole the concept of values and appropriated it.
Yeah, bastardized it. Yeah. I mean, to make us think of what is valuable.
Yeah.
Seems pretty satanic.
Yep, money is the root of all evil. We get it, okay?
Creativity to
No, I'm just kidding. Okay, well, I think you're gonna like some of this. We're already like half an hour in here, so let's get on this.
Get to it.
So this Jacobin article, it says, written by Girth Brooks? Wow. No, that's good.
That's where I got it.
Oh, okay. No, but this article written by Will Sloan, even just, I mean, I love how straightforward they are with their headlines, the titles when it's actual just like op-eds or things like that. But the title, Nancy Pelosi's Daughter Makes Awful Documentaries Fawning Over the Establishment by Will Sloan. And even this introduction here, I didn't know this. That's the thing. This is what's crazy about this article that I learned. So for 2 decades, Alexandra Pelosi, Nancy's daughter, has made award-winning, god-awful films about America's political class.
Award-winning, god-awful.
Yes. Pelosi in the House, a dull documentary about her mother in January 6th, proves she is the auteur the liberal establishment deserves. So... Oof. Yeah,
Ouch.
And yeah, right here. Did you know that for over 20 years, Nancy Pelosi's youngest daughter, Alexandra, has been one of the most successful working documentary filmmakers?
She's so successful, nobody's ever heard of her.
Yeah, that statement doesn't sound quite right, but by some objective metrics, it's true. Consider, most of Alexandra Pelosi's films, recipients of 6 Primetime Emmy nominations and 1 win for editing, have been funded and distributed by HBO. She said, yeah, most of them have been done by HBO. Her 2002 debut, Journeys with George, which chronicled her time on George W. Bush's campaign bus during the 2000 Republican primary, established her extraordinary level of access to America's political elite on both sides of the Democratic and Republican divide. For 2017's The Words That Built America, her 59-minute film of readings from the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, her on-screen readers included all of the living presidents, including Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Henry Kissinger, Al Gore, John Roberts, John McCain, Sean Hannity, Meryl Streep, Robert De Niro, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and more than 100 other heavy hitters from America's political and culture spheres. It's fair to say that no other documentary filmmaker, not Michael Moore, Errol Morris, or Werner Herzog, has enjoyed such consistent and prestigious patronage for so long. I was like, what? What the fuck?
Wow.
It's like, so, given that Pelosi is, by some metrics, very successful, why have you probably never heard of her? One possible reason is that her films are consistently, stupefyingly awful, boring, self-serving, dealing only in banalities and received wisdom, and relentlessly fawning over some of the most boring company imaginable.
Yeah.
It's like, her films invariably proceed no further than their basic premises, or is it premises? Premises. And at their worst, endorse and uphold some of the worst political trends of the last 50 years. Her work may be close to unwatchable, but watching it reveals volumes about the limits of the liberal imagination. So
I could see all of that. Like, she's such, like, talking about the liberal media. Like, maybe they kind of got a point because she's getting to do these documentaries. It's
all from connection.
And also, seriously, Sean Hannity. You had Sean fucking Hannity in your documentary reading from, like, the Declaration of Independence. Oh, my God.
Hey, both sides of the political aisle, Natalie. Liberals and conservatives. Exactly. So right-wingers and right-wingers. Elites and elites. Like, that's all it is. Right?
Oh, my God. That's so... I guess Obama was on there if it was all the living presidents, but he's an elite, not progressive person.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, president anyways. Yeah, that's pretty... But, oh, my God. That's so... Fucking, like, talk about failed daughters and stuff. She's a success daughter.
She's a successful failed daughter.
Seems...
Totally milking that privilege. Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly. And being rewarded for it. Just being in this position. So she wants to do stuff and she just gets to. She just gets to do what she wants. She gets to do what she loves.
Yeah.
She never works a day in her life.
It even mentions what she loves. Oh God, yeah. It's like, wow, that be so nice to be able to do that? You know, literally. It's just pure luck.
Totally, she came out of the right vagina. Literally, that is the only thing she did.
The right, yeah. Even if that vagina used to be kind of left. Oh,
hey, all right, come on now.
But so, and it goes over like even like the Journeys with George thing. You know, proving. Even a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat can have a civil conversation with the other side, and. You know, I mean, exactly. But it's like, you know, you get with these conversations with Bush, you get nothing about actual policies. Unpleasant episodes from the primary are absent. Karl Rove appears only briefly, rattling off statistics about past primaries, but don't expect Pelosi to ask if he orchestrated the whisper campaign about John McCain's black baby. I don't know if you know that story. That's Karl Rove through and through. It's like that doesn't even get mentioned.
Rove on there. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, why would she like without any context, like revering these people up? Oh, see, we can all be civil and stuff, and it's like Sean Hannity is not a civil person. Karl Rove, these people are like they're just reading something and then going and being these totally other people that in no way represent the things that you're showing them doing.
And the interesting people aren't politicians, like The Rock, you know?
Like, because he's just the cool, hot guy.
But this is why here. I think that this really pulls it all together here in terms of her styling. Pelosi is less interested in ideology than in the quotidian details of a political campaign.
Quotidian.
Yeah, nice, huh?
Yeah.
So the handshaking, the bus, the motel rooms, and especially the saran-wrapped ham sandwiches that the press are fed. The sandwiches aren't nearly as interesting as Pelosi seems to think they are, but it's revealing how often she keeps returning to the subject. That these sandwiches are indistinguishable from what many Americans eat every day doesn't occur to Pelosi, who regards them as symbolic of all that these candidates and journalists must endure in pursuit of the prize.
It's making me cringe so hard right now. My eyes are closed.
Exactly. That sandwiches thing, it's like, oh, look at what they do. It's like, bitch, like, I would love to have those ham sandwiches
meals
for
provided
free
for me
for
everywhere
lunch
I was going
at work. Yeah, exactly.
That'd be really fucking nice. Oh my God.
Michael Moore was at the height of his influence during the production of Diary of a Political Tourist, 2004, and his sensibility pervades Pelosi's, quote, irreverent documentary about the 2004 Democratic Party primary. Pelosi is the titular political outsider. And though the film opens with her hobnobbing with the sitting president at the White House Christmas party, she positions herself as a chaotic force outside of the Beltway mainstream. You're Nancy Pelosi's daughter!
She's out of the mainstream, because what? She notices sandwiches? Okay, that's the level.
And speaking of, like, much of the films is spent with her ambushing Democratic presidential candidates at various campaign stops, always with silly questions that they answer with rictus grins.
Oh, God.
The one 2004 candidate absent from her chronicle is Dennis Kucinich, although we do see a Kucinich button on an activist who harangues Dick Gephardt over his support for the Iraq War. Yes. Yeah. If you want to run for president, you have to confront this guy, says Pelosi in her narration. For her, the party's activist base is just another obstacle to be overcome, like the media or ham sandwiches.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
The second half imitates Roger and Me. Let's see. Yeah. So
it's just,
okay,
you know what she
so
reminds me of?
Michael Moore is great. Anyway, yeah, go.
I was going to say, she reminds me seriously of that girl, that woman we were talking about, that other,
exactly,
like, where people are just so fucking basic. They're just getting like these basic understandings of things, like where she's just kind of not dumb, but
she's like the daughter in Arrested Development. What's her name? It's like more like just not realizing the position you're in and thinking you're doing so well with it. Yeah, except boring. So,
and just like so basically, like just such a, like she's looking at hams, like you're saying, or they're saying, or whatever, the ham sandwiches, and not really fully like understanding that your party is supposed to be the one that, or whatever. Oh, she's a political outsider. I forgot. Her mom's not the Speaker of the House for the, the Democratic Party or anything like that. But she's like,
hey, Pelosi wasn't Speaker of the House yet.
Care about
people.
Right. Yeah, well, whatever. She's a Democrat, and you're supposed to be the people that are caring about people literally starving in the streets. Like, you're supposed to be the caring party that wants like people to be like equal and lifted up and supported and blah 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 blah.
No,
or whatever. No. The more I'm saying it, the more I'm like, wow, that does not sound like the Democratic Party, but more so than the Republican Party.
Yeah,
and you're
the Democrats
you're
caring about people. Oh yeah,
bro, this is such a funny take, dude.
Yeah, I'm working on my type 5, but it's just real. It is so incredibly. Like, what is that word where you're obtuse, right? Is that what it is? Or not? Maybe that's not what it is. Like, oblivious, I guess, is totally, completely oblivious.
Obtusely oblivious.
Her right there,
that's what I'll say.
Is like satire is dead sort of thing. They have to endure ham sandwiches as they're walking out of a building and there's someone sleeping on the street next to it.
Oh, man, yeah. Well, even like...
in weather, like you're saying, 9-degree weather.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
really interesting how incredibly basic she is about her understandings of the world because she's so incredibly privileged. Yeah, comes back to it. What does it come back to? Money.
It's like how, I mean, they even mentioned that, like, compared to... Michael Moore's Roger and Me about his pursuit of the GM chairman. It's compared to like Pelosi trying to land a sit-down interview with John Kerry, but Pelosi never realized. Yeah, in Moore's film, the difficulty is being able to get the interview. But Pelosi never realizes she has the exact opposite problem. It never occurs to her that she's the only member of the press who's allowed to follow the presidential nominee uninvited through a hotel lobby and into an elevator. But
and you know why that is, though? Because she doesn't ask any tough fucking questions.
Oh,
because she just sits there and they're like, yeah, funny. Because Michael Moore would be like, speaking truth to power.
And John Kerry knows that her last name is
so they
Pelosi.
Can put it out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
God,
here you can cringe and get mad here. Pelosi's campaign diaries are more interested in the front-facing side of campaigns than in the closed-door meetings where power is really built. She tackles this side of politics in one of her quote-unquote issue films, Meet the Donors, Does Money Talk? In 2016, which stunningly refuses to commit to the idea that big money in politics is bad. And in parentheses, her non-thesis stated in her narration is, politics is a rich man's game, and some of the richest families in America are all in. Like, that's what you're accepting just at a baseline level? Like, it's like, so was the question... So the question asked in the title of your documentary, Does Money Talk? Is yes. Yeah. And there's nothing else to say. What the fuck is wrong with you?
And also, what is the point of her documentaries? Like, what is she trying to show? Like, what is is she's taking a look at ham sandwiches or whatever? I mean, what is her...
Is that front-facing bullshit?
It's like you're just making it, it's just like a fun, because you know what? It's just fun for her, and you can't really fault her. It's not really her fault that she's so dumb and ignorant and obtusely, what was the word?
Oblivious.
Oblivious?
Yes, that's the title for this episode, so.
It's just like she gets to live a life that we all wish we could, because it doesn't matter if you're good at filmmaking. If you like it, you should do it.
Hey, she's been nominated
if you like
for
making songs,
6 Primetime Emmys.
That's because of the liberal media, frankly, it sounds like. But it's like, even if you're not good, you should be able to do it. But hers, it's like seems a little bit more dangerous to have, because it's used as propaganda.
While simultaneously being so hollow and shallow and inane. She sounds inane. We
should invite her
on.
Her
documentaries sound like a bunch of inane blather, and yet by being are that much more dangerous because of how they just reinforce that foundation.
It appeals to people who don't want to think about things too, which is a lot of people, because what is it? It's work. And when you can see, look at all these people. See, I can talk to all these different people, Sean Hannity and Obama and blah, 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 blah. And we can be like
Hillary
this.
Clinton.
And, we can all work together, and it's all blah, 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 blah. And that appeals to people as a vision of because it's just a whitewashed version of life. It's
shallow.
Not real. Yeah, it's just shallow and just so basic.
Why
are people so basic?
Being so not dangerous is the danger in this kind of thing, where it's just crap.
Yeah.
It's honestly like the danger of wasting time engaging with this that does nothing but further the status quo, as in by doing nothing. But so the campaign diaries and issue films represent 2 subgenres of Pelosi's documentaries. A third is the type of film in which she travels outside her bubble to talk to ordinary voters from across the aisle. Right America, Feeling Wronged, Some Voices from the Campaign Trail in 2009 was filmed during the last weeks of the 2008 campaign, features interviews with John McCain voters, blah, blah, blah. Most are Christian conservatives, totally fitting Obama's characterization of clinging to guns and religion, if you remember that whole fiasco of that quote. No one is on screen for more than 3 minutes, so there's little time for anyone to say anything enlightening, but enough time to deliver a great deal of sexist and racist rhetoric. The only interesting moment comes after Pelosi interviews a racist white man at a Mississippi gas station when she is challenged by a pair of black men who chide her for using him as a representative of their community. "Shame on you, white liberal lady," says one of them, who points out that plenty of racism also exists in New York. Yeah, and it's like... and
then what did she do with that?
At all? It is to Pelosi's credit that she included this pushback in the final cut, but unfortunately, she doesn't seem to have internalized the lesson. She revisited the same basic premise for the Trump era in Outside the Bubble, a road trip with Alexandra Pelosi in 2018, in which she again goes on safari to the heartland. Again, she frames America as simplistically divided along red and blue lines. She doesn't consider all the Republican voters in blue state suburbs or the many black Democrats in the South. And here's her quote. This is great. Here's her quote. "I'm bursting out of my own bubble to meet people in communities across this country where the big issues have erupted to see what we can learn from listening to our fellow Americans," she says in her opening narration. But what are we supposed to do with the knowledge we accumulate? For her, the listening itself is the point.
Yeah, that's exactly like she should have, when those black people chided her, she could have been like, "Oh my God, like, holy shit, you're right."
Yeah,
like, I'm
that's
being
a good
like,
point.
And you know what she's doing? She's traveling to the Midwest where there's no fucking people. She's going to go to small towns to talk to people. It's like, there's nobody there.
Well,
like,
even if so, there are these people there. And what was the point of talking to them? Like,
yeah, but I mean, she's going out to see what the people really think. It's like, well, you could go to where all the people live too.
Yeah.
Like where there's a bunch of different opinions and different people in the place where people actually live. Station.
Yeah, it's like...
Yeah, that she just didn't, like, when she interacted with those people calling her out, she could have been like, cut the camera or keep rolling or whatever and been like, I really, like, this is... Or later that night, she could have been like, holy shit, like, this is something I need to think about, like an epiphany maybe, that it's like, what am I doing? And instead, she included it in there to be like, that it's not all one-sided, but it didn't matter at all. It's just there to be like a token. Like, those are the token black people in that, it sounds like.
Yeah, this will dispense any of that good faith you had in her having the ability to do so very quickly. At one point, Pelosi talks to a woman who says that she makes only $7 per hour at her job. Pelosi replies, "Is that even legal?" It's hard to watch. It's hard to watch this and not shout back at the TV. Maybe there's someone in Washington you could talk to who has a little sway. But of course, the daughter of Nancy Pelosi stopped short of using her platform to advocate for a $15 minimum wage. Though eager to present herself as culturally liberal, she also strives to be fair and balanced. Even so, like anyone who claims not to be, she's deeply idiot-logical. No.
Nice.
And San Francisco 2.0, which gets my vote for being her very worst film, is highly revealing about what she stands for. Some of this is really funny, like talking about Silicon Valley's tech expansion to San Francisco, and she's saying it's being forced to reinvent itself, and like they say, she's touring startups and incubators, taking the tech industry entirely on its own terms. To her, it really is disruptive or game-changing, etc. Oh, this is where I thought, I don't want to read the sentence out loud because this, this is the sentence that made me think of something we said off the pod. Nevertheless, she has a few niggling questions. Okay. Anyway, is the March of Progress leaving some Bay Area residents behind, and what will happen to the city's legendary counterculture? I mean, that's great, right? Those are great questions to have. The second question we can dispense with quickly. To illustrate the city's bohemian side, Pelosi shows us a clip of the Village People. She doesn't understand or care about counterculture. As for gentrification...
Oh my god. The Philly people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like...
Oh my god.
She's like, counterculture.
This is like a Mad TV documentary.
Counterculture in San Francisco.
Oh, how I wish I could believe or understand that.
When really, San Francisco counterculture should have you saying...
Drugs are fun.
Yeah.
Nice.
And...
Democracy simply doesn't work.
No, but... yeah, as for gentrification, the film opens with former California Governor Jerry Brown quoting, "No man steps in the same river twice." When Pelosi asks if the city is changing for the better, he replies, "That's like saying, is getting older for the better? It's inevitable." Commodification, this is not the quote, but commodification is an apolitical force like the weather. So much the better that San Francisco happens to be changing in a way that Pelosi is clearly comfortable with. While some token acknowledgement is made of the affordable housing crisis, displaced residents, and shuttered community landmarks, the filmmaker's unmistakable perspective is that you can't have an omelet without breaking a few eggs. Yeah. But, like this. Okay, this is the final paragraph, so I'll stop talking over you. But about halfway through, Pelosi visits an art dealership that is being forced into closure after its landlord tripled the rent. We see artists dropping by to collect work they can't afford to store, and we hear the owner lament how a business that has existed for 3 decades can just be pushed out so unceremoniously. Pelosi is sad, sorta, kinda, that this business has to go, but what's really telling is the questions she doesn't ask. Why are so many incentives in place for startups, but so many obstacles for this art dealership? Who are the people approving the legislation that made these conditions possible? Why do they value one thing and not the other? This is all far too complicated, so it's better to focus on the sandwiches.
It's all too complicated, and that's work.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, oh, yeah, and you know what this complicated work ends up being? An interesting documentary, an interesting discussion, or something of value, talking about value again. She just never stood up and said,
"I'm tired of being a corporate shill."
But
because there's more to it for her. We've talked about this, like about parents and what it means, because what she's going to have to confront, if she ever could, is that her mom could have been helping with these things that she's not confronting.
It's like that girl, and it's like, out of all things, that position of privilege was from the heiress of a pharmaceutical fortune, right? How we were talking about that. It's like, not only are you just privileged, but your family or this person, her mother or Alexandra Pelosi's mother, Nancy Pelosi, have a direct role to play in these things. And you're purposefully beating around the bush, like, psychically.
It's hard to, I mean, because of all of the work that we have to do. We talk about we need our parents' approval and what they mean to us, and they're up on a pedestal, and like how you, I don't know, cognitive dissonance or just denial about these things to protect yourself. But I always think that knowing is always better, because knowledge is power. But really, because it doesn't
Quick shout
have to
out
make
to Knowing
you
Better. It's
judge
a great
someone.
YouTube channel.
Yeah. Like, that you don't have to judge someone for, I mean, some people it's a little bit harder, people in positions of power. You can understand how they got to that point.
Empathy.
And you don't have to it doesn't have to make you feel bad about yourself, about your relationship with this person, because that's not what it's about. It's not about blaming. It's about growing and, like, getting better. And
even outside of that,
it takes
taking that view makes you look at systems that are in place and not individuals. That's why, like, the issue of blaming in and of itself is an individual, is so often boiled down to an individual pointed attack.
A box of loose links sort of situation.
Exactly. It's like, let's talk about the box, not the links.
And that's what I'm always talking about when I'm always, like, worked up. It's about like these ideas, not the people that hold them so much, because they've been influenced by a lot of things to think a certain way, and it's not their fault so much, or at least it's not helpful to judge and shame and ostracize them for it. But
even if someone's to blame,
nobody wants to work anymore.
Blaming them doesn't do anything, you know? It
doesn't change that it's already happened.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like blaming them won't invent a time machine for them to go back in time and change what they did. So understanding their role and understanding, that time machine alone set me back 10 years.
If only it worked.
You could go back and not waste your time on it. Dang it, I really come up with a punchline there.
Don't quote me on that, though.
Please.
But, yeah.
Sounds like you're pretty into this, buddy.
But you know what?
You know what?
I mean, it's just, I guess it's just fun to go over this, and I mean, like, accept that libtards are gonna libtard, you know, or whatever.
That's all they know how to do.
But these are the areas where we need to be pushing people overall from this broad perspective.
I can't see where you're pointing. These areas over here?
Yeah, I was pointing to my asshole, but
LOL.
Nice.
Yeah, but yeah, oh, see?
That Doug guy? Wow, what a piece of shit.
But it's not just in, I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything.
Oh, how I wish I could believe or understand that.
What? But, I'm quitting the podcast. Bye. Toot, toot. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like this inane milquetoast status quo liberal bullshit that really, I mean, which really covers and influences such a large part of our society, or at least a large part of political capital and actual power in this country in terms of society and culture. Like, of course, it's not as bad as fascism. You know, it is what it is. I'll always vote for a Democrat and yada yada. Well, actually, I won't. Yeah. But
until there's
I mean, when it
option.
comes down to it, but it's like that's where we need to be, making our slow and assertive, pointed changes, right? That's what we need to be. Like, we can just attack the right all day. Some of it does some good, but a lot of it is a lot of it is our own posturing, and to even when it's not just a narcissistic posturing that I'm right and you're wrong, and that's obviously provable because I'm not a fucking moron on the right. Like, you know, it sharpens our own blades, but this is really where our where our energy needs to be expended in the right way. So we had this but we had this great conversation beforehand that should have been on the pod if it wasn't so specific and stuff like that, because we actually kind of disagreed on things, at least, you know, and like, you were crying. It was really funny, but no. And I totally wasn't crying, and I didn't shit my pants. Don't put in the news. I wasn't mad. Don't put in the newspapers that I got mad, as that classic drill tweet. But no, but when I was referring to that, like, slow and even-handed, propagandizing and seed planting, it's the, like, in a good way, slowly turning the water up on liberals, like, until the frog boils, And, you know, because then this analogy is perfect because then it's all red because it's hot. So now they're leftists, right? No.
Oh, yeah.
But
so I was thinking you were going to kiss a
that's
frog
where,
or something
yeah,
like that.
and it's going to turn into like, yeah, that... yeah, I'm going to kiss the frog, and it's going to turn into a beautiful trans woman. Like that one that I sent you earlier that we need to show to Matt Walsh and just put up billboards and say,
God.
hey, Matt, look at this.
The hottest woman I've ever seen.
I know, right? But I just don't... I don't know how to explain myself well, but I think you get what I'm saying.
No,
this
I
is
think
where
the
our
thing-
energy needs to be expended, is
Yes,
in
because
these
you know why?
malleable... smooth-brained liberals that enjoy stuff like this. They have power.
Need some energy put into this because there is no energy on the left in any, like, in the power positions or whatever. It's also like this propaganda that we're talking about. It's just so fucking boring. Like, that's like the biggest crime about the Democrats.
That's why there's
that they're
room
so
there.
boring and passive and like blah, like just milk toast. Like there is just like. It's just so dull. You're never gonna... It's like we're there because we're not gonna be fucking Nazis, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's like... It's not exciting. I don't feel... Yeah, talking about the Democrats, it's like, hey, we're on the same page about them for different reasons. Like, about hating on the Democrats and stuff. But not you and me. Me and... You know,
creativity to me is
okay.
But
yeah, that's what we need. Well, and that's the thing. So that's kind of when you look when you take a step back, it's all that
Doug guy. What?
But that allusion to how she focuses on like the front-facing side and not the interesting stuff is kind of a microcosm of like the huge problem that the Democratic Party has with like when it comes to election season, for one thing. It's like all this focus on like electoral politics, like that, instead of like politics, like things that affect people's lives. That's what has made them stray from like, you know, big union support and things like that, where it's like on the ground, interesting things that actually tackle systemic issues. It's like that type of stuff, that boring stuff, that's also what, it's all part of a larger stylings, like society, like cultural stylings that turns people off. Like, because when people say, ugh, I don't like politics, you know, it's usually because of that type of politics. Who fucking cares? Like, about this John Kerry, you know, electoral garbage, instead of, you know, what people care about is the conversation that you could have had with those people at the gas station, or like the conversations that could come from you talking to that person who only made $7 an hour. And you're so shocked and dismayed by it, which is cool, good reaction. Where do we go from there? You don't, like, come on, man.
She said,
and that's like the
okay,
Democratic Party in a nutshell right there.
She said, is it even legal
Yeah.
when her mom is in fucking Congress?
Yeah. Like,
what? Do you know who writes the laws? Like, do you understand what's happening here? If you think that that's not, you don't have to, whatever, you don't have to go so far to advocate for $15 minimum wage.
You don't even have to have specifics, yeah.
Take the next step. Is that even legal? And then you're like, how is that legal? Okay, so let's actually start doing some investigative journalism or whatever you want to do, like some research for your documentary.
How do you get by? How do you live?
Excuse me.
Yeah. So anyway.
Not living, I'll tell you that much. That's existing. Anyway.
Okay, Natalie. I need to see a dick.
But, so that was, yeah. So I just like that went over her and her fucking just
Is this vapid?
Vapid.
Or is it just...
That's a word that we've been missing this entire conversation. That's what was reminding me of Lindsay Bluth, you know?
Yes, vapid.
Yeah, I think she needs to team up with Girth Brooks and make a real documentary. So I didn't have a lot more. And what's funny, I have these all these things written down where we just never talk about it, and then it's been like weeks and stuff. But that all comes together. I've had this written down for I don't know how long, because it was, I think it was like maybe election day, or maybe it was before that. But I said, we heard about Pelosi a bit while in charge of Congress, but why do we hear so much more about McConnell than we do Schumer? The dude is dead weight, and it drives me a little crazy. The Senate sucks. And so I was like, I kind of went over both of those things earlier. It's like...
All I imagine Schumer is Stephen Colbert's impression of him with his glasses like all the way down his nose.
It's just like,
that's what I think of Chuck Schumer.
I'm sure he's a totally fine guy, whatever. It's just like, why is this guy in charge? Like, the fact that the Democrats had the Senate, and it's like, wait a minute. Who's the House, or who's the Senate Majority Leader? Oh yeah, it's not McConnell. The Republicans don't run the Senate. Why do I only know about McConnell? It's like Chuck Schumer has been in charge. He doesn't do anything. It's like, and
he just sits on his ass and balls.
Yes, he's just sitting on his balls, adjusting his fucking glasses and being like, well, whatever you think, Nancy. I mean, I think that's a great idea, Nancy. Like, dude, like, you could be one of the most powerful fucking people in the country legislatively, or just generally. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, who is this guy?
He's old.
That's
and
the
tired.
documentary I want to see her make. Like, a day in the life of Chuck Schumer, and it's like literally puts people to death in Guantanamo Bay due to just like boredom. Their medulla oblongata completely shuts down.
Their medulla oblongata kills itself.
Yeah, it's like, it's the first time I've seen it, but their brain killed itself. It's like, but
That's a doozy.
So that was one that I had written down. Okay, Santa's red nose, he's an alcoholic fatso. Also, announcing a presidential run 7 days after the midterm election is seriously insane and seriously wrong. Dad and I were having fun talking about Trump earlier today with, like, I mean, and of course he is definitely not a fan of Trump. But just
he's been a never Trumper since way before Trump. When he was talking about birther stuff,
yeah, exactly.
Dad was like so disgusted by him. He really,
it's like, and that's coming
really
from a guy
like
who's centrist enough to say, hey, if he's a good guy and he's doing the right things, I'd vote for a Republican. And he's like, and he loathes Donald Trump. And it's like, but yeah, we're talking about his NFTs and like how and his first immediate thing is just like, what a grifter, and it's just like, yeah, that's how, like, even before the NFT stuff, it's like, how do you not recognize that that's his thing?
Talent?
That's his only thing, is grifting. When he announces for his presidential run 7 days after the midterms end, like 2 years ahead of time. It's like, that should make it obvious. I thought it was funny. I told him when you would see, like, after he made his announcement, and we all kind of thought he was going to, and he announced he was running for president, like that, even like Newsmax level, like Trump knob-slobbing networks and pundits and stuff, they were like, they're in denial about the level of grift that's going on, because they're like, oh gosh, like trying to speak it into existence. Wow, this is an interesting strategy. Or like, wow, announcing at this point, or is it because of DeSantis or Ben? Or it's like, no, it's because all he wants to do is run for president and grift, because it's amazing for him to do. It's like,
because people will just donate money to him, and like,
it's like,
that's
there's
like
no
the
strategy here. He wanted to announce it before the midterms, and someone finally talked him down.
seriously, like, the thing about his, like, campaign donations being very, like, confusing and, like, automatically doing monthly donations and stuff for people. Totally.
He's just a total Prince scammer level.
He is. He is, like, he's so sleazy, slimy, like, if he wasn't born into money, well, he would be way different. But that kind of personality is someone... yeah, that, like, sells fake watches and stuff. Like, he's just, like, a total, like...
No, it would just be, it would be,
grifter,
like, late-night infomercial real estate scams and, like, reverse mortgages and shit. Like, because, he knows how to brand, like, he knows... even if he doesn't know, he does it. Yeah, he brands, he uses how strange he is, like, and he is a unique character, and, like,
he's a real character.
Yeah, exactly.
Stop.
But it's just Trump. I hope he's the nominee. I think that, like, I don't know. The only person that could lose to that guy is Biden, so who knows? But I just hope there's just no way it'll happen. But I just hope Biden is just wants to be a one-term guy. Dude, you're so fucking old. You're so out of it. He sucks so bad. He's so gone. Like, dude,
he's just so old.
Just pull
I mean, he's like 80.
Pull the LBJ and start letting or not even, like, let it go for a while. Let the Democrats maybe get one good accomplishment under their belt and then announce that you won't be running for re-election. Like, if he wants to work with the Democratic Party, right, on actual, like, electoral politics, we're back to talking about that, like, in electability issues, I mean, I'm no political scientist, but hopefully they have some. But it's like, there's got to be this great window in terms of your time frame, so that you don't have primary candidates beat up on each other too much leading into the election, where that can be a problem, right? Because then it just gets used by the opposition. And also they beat up on each other enough to dissuade potential Democratic voting independents from voting at all, like what happened to Bernie, where it's just like you're fucking them over by how you treated Bernie. Even if it had just gone differently and Bernie still didn't get the nomination, you'd have other voters that would still be on your side. Yada, yada, yada. There's got to be a time. There's this window, is what I'm saying. And he can say, no, you know what? There's a better crop of Democrats, whatever, and we're going to get this done. We're going to move forward. I'm going to endorse whoever the Democratic nominee is. I'm not running for re-election. That will just, like that any Democrat that could make it out of the primaries and be liked will demolish Trump. I don't give a shit what is going on.
Trump is not as popular.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's why I hope so
but,
badly. It's like, if the Democrats cannot sit on their own balls, Chuck Schumer style, and trip over their own nutsack, falling down the stairs right into the subway car and out the other side while the doors open and land on the third rail, like as they are wont to do, like it could just be a done deal. And this is 2 years ahead of time, but it's just like, there's no way. Like, I mean, I think if it's Trump and DeSantis, then it's like Trump could get demolished. And if it's DeSantis, then he just doesn't have the appeal that people think he does. Like, there's a lot of voters all over the country that
there's a lot of people who will just vote Republican. Like,
I mean, but that doesn't matter.
Would get stuff done.
That doesn't matter. That's something that you don't even worry about. That's the problem that the fucking Democrats have, is even considering that as part of their campaign strategies. There are people that are going to vote Republican no matter what. Don't worry about them. In terms of electability, who fucking cares? You're not going to turn them. They are not anywhere near a majority of voters in the United States, and they're probably not near a majority of voters in swing states. You know, it's like, fuck those people. Get someone that people will actually go out and vote for. I don't think Biden is that guy.
It just seems like an opportunity for Joe Biden to be like, to legit be like, okay, what do you stand for, Joe? Like, do you stand for progress? You're like 100 years old. Who do you even represent in this country? You were born. Was there electricity? I don't know. But
well, we said last week that he helped build the railroads. You know,
I know.
You said that.
Seriously, a time where he could really, like, really nut up and take his ego out of it and be like, I'm too old to do this job. It's incredibly demanding. I'm like an elderly person. I don't want to be working for the rest of my life. And I believe that there are people who could do this job better than me. And I think we can support them. And like, that is what that would be.
Are you a real Democrat or not?
Progress.
You know, like, do you want the Democrats to win or not? Even if you're not talking about like ideals.
Exactly. Do you want,
like,
no, not even
just, do you want the Democrats? No, like, I'm saying if Joe Biden, like Joe Biden, to you, do you want the Democrats to win or not? Don't even worry about ideals. Worry about this party. Are you a true dyed-in-the-wool Democrat as you've always been? Even if you're, like, whether you're progressive or right-wing, are you a Democrat, man? Like, and that's coming from someone who does not consider themselves to be a Democrat. Like, anyway, we go off the rails here. We can talk about, we'll have a lot of time to talk about Sleepy Joe. But, I just feel like, oh man, who knows? It's 2 years out, and just remember what it was like during the primaries when, like, there was no way we thought that Trump would be, you know, even close. Then he became the nominee. So who knows? Trump could totally just go off the rails, and then DeSantis becomes like this Jeb Bush type pick where it's like, well, we've been talking about this so long, and they get some shiny new object that's some fucking Nazi that becomes the Republican nominee. But that's why I just hope that it's Trump instead, because it's like, yeah, we'll kick that guy's ass, so whatever.
The big ass. Can't miss it.
Yeah, exactly. We'll take a big baseball bat to it, and it makes this sound like... But,
sit down!
Anyway, I love you.
I love you, I love you, I love you.
You're so selfish and stupid when you do that.
Okay. But
I agree.
And everyone check out Natalie singing. She's a beautiful singer, and she sent me a thing today. I'm just going to share it.
I
know,
exactly.
Actually, I was going to say, I'm going to share it with everyone.
Yeah. It's for a competition. After that, then I could put it as public.
Cool.
Whatever, but yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I was pretty proud.
Awesome to the max.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard you singing. Ain't Misbehaving, and I was like,
this is lit.
But anyway, okay. So Merry Christmas.
Shout out to very Merry
and
Christmas.
Shout out to everyone taking up arms in the war on Christmas. Godspeed, comrades. Burn down every nativity scene you see. And if someone says Happy Holidays, or no, if someone says Merry Christmas, you say Happy Holidays, and then you plunge the knife into their chest.
That's what they deserve.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're militant atheists. No. But Happy Holidays. And I'm going to see you this weekend. And then, maybe we'll record something in person. I don't know if we could.
Have a Christmas Eve live stream.
Yeah, we'll be on Santa Watch.
Nice.
Mental illness is when you're right wing.
Nice.
Okay, I had to have that in at least at some point in this episode. Okay, I'm going to go. I love you. Shout out Aaron Brown, Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior. Okay.
Bye.
Okay, bye.